Madam, please start.
Okay. Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Children, you all have learnt about differentiation chapter in your intermediate first year. Now, in intermediate second year, you will be learning about integration chapter. Do you know what is integration? Integration is the art of bringing together smaller components and finding out the area. The integration technique is very useful to us in our daily lives, the extension of which you will be learning in engineering. Now, the session will be continued by Purnima Madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. Good morning, children. Good morning, my coordinator, Deepa ma'am, Shailja madam, Sridevi madam, and my dear children, a very, very good morning to the webinar session. Let us today start our very interesting chapter, a very, very interesting chapter, which is integration. Already you learned about differentiation in your first year, children. I hope everyone remember whatever we have learned in our first year differentiation. So it is a very, very interesting topic today what you are going to deal to children. So which is the inverse process of differentiation. Yes, inverse process of differentiation. So what is it actually, how it is inverse process, and how it is useful to us, everything let us see in detail. Okay, so let us start our session today, children. So first of all, everyone by now everyone has seen our textbook, yes or not, isn't it? So in that part, in the textbook, we have a part which is called as calculus. So what is that calculus? In first year also you had that calculus. There you had differential calculus, yes or not? So here we are having, in this calculus, in the second year part, we are having three chapters, which are integration, and the other one is definite integrals, and the third chapter is differential equations. So these three chapters come under calculus. Okay, children, is it clear? Now today, in today's session, we are going to start our first chapter of calculus, which is integration. So this integration is what here, it is dealing with the indefinite integrals. This integration chapter is dealing with indefinite integrals. So in this indefinite integrals, let us have a overview of this chapter, children. What you have in this chapter? So in this chapter, we are dealing with indefinite integrals, and here we are going to find the indefinite integrals, or we are going to solve the indefinite integrals by different methods. One is by method of substitution, by parts, and by partial fractions, and by reduction formulae. Do you remember this, children? Already when I taught you
Madam,
partial
please.
fractions chapter, I told you that it is very much useful in the integration chapter, isn't it?
Purnima Madam, please share your screen.
Oh, screen is not shared, no?
Yes, Madam.
Okay, sorry. Again, I have to start then.
Please continue.
Okay, children, in this one, so this is what I've explained just now. This calculus part, integration and definite integrals, and the third one is differential equations. These three are the chapters which are covered, going to cover in the calculus part. And the first one, we are going to see the integration chapter. This integration is what here, it is totally dealing with the indefinite integrals. In this one, we are going to solve the indefinite integrals by method of substitution, by parts, by partial fractions, and by reduction formulae. So these are the four main important topics what we have in the indefinite integrals. Is it clear, children? So let us see actually what it is. So what are our learning points in today's session? So that was an overview. Okay, overview of entire chapter. And now these are the learning points what we are going to see in today's class. So what you are going to see, first of all, we are going to see the introduction of integration. Actually, what introduction means. And next one is what indefinite integral is. Okay, and the next one is properties of integrals. We are seeing properties of integrals. And the next one is some standard formula. Few formula we are going to see in today's session, children. Still many formulas are there, but in today's class we are going to see few formulae. And next one is what? Indefinite integrals of some functions. With some examples we are going to solve indefinite integrals. Is it clear, children? So these are the points which you are going to see in today's class. Okay, so let us move on to our topic. So here what actually integration means. So what is integration? Integration is the inverse process of differentiation. Already you know about differentiation. As in first year, you are more familiar, you learned thoroughly about differentiation. Now integration is what? It is the inverse process of differentiation. And what else here we are going to see? And what is actually integration is? The basic idea of integration is to find the area under a curve. So what is the integration here? What is the basic idea about integration? Basic idea is what here? To find the area under a curve. So any curve, when you are representing graphically, any curve, whatever is the curve here, in whatever the shape the curve is, so the area covered by that curve is what it is. It is what? It is the basic idea under integration. Okay, behind the integration. Now let us see what it is actually, how to find out the area. We are saying area. In lower classes also you learned about finding area, yes or not? So in many of area we found the area of many shapes, square, rectangle, triangle, so on. So now here what kind of area means, how to find out the area using integration. Let us see. So first of all, what I am going to show is, what is this, children? It is an x-axis and y-axis. It is an x-axis and y-axis. Means it's a coordinate axis. Okay. Now here let us see what you are going to have here. So what is it, children? By seeing the picture, what can you understand? It is a square. Yes or not? The square means what? All four sides must be same. So now here, what are the points here I am taking here? On x-axis is a comma 0, and here on y-axis is 0 comma a. Okay. Now here, what is the distance here, children? Because it is origin here. What is the distance here? It is nothing but a units. And what is the distance here? It is nothing but a units. So if I am trying to find out the area, see, it is also a curve. See, children, always curve need not be a curve is drawn by a free hand. Okay, children, it can be square also, it can be rectangle also, it can anything, we call it as a curve. Clear? So always it is not that curve should be only the free-handed curve which is drawn like this. When simply we draw, no, it's not like that. So it is also a curve. So now here it is a square I am saying here. So what is the area occupied by this curve? So then how do you find out? Because by seeing the picture itself, it is very easy, very clearly understood that it is what it is. It is a it is a square. So what is the area of square, children? Area of square is what? Area of square is what, children? Side square. Yes or not? Side square. So what is the side here? What is the side here? It is a units. Nothing but a square units is the area of the square. Area occupied by the square. Yes or not? So now here, similarly, what I am doing here, let us see one more picture here. So here also it is a coordinate axis. Now here I am going to show you another curve, which is a rectangle. Yes, in rectangle, length and breadth we have. Yes or not? It's a two-dimensional figure. So now here, what is there here? This point is what here? It's nothing but the length. What is the length here? It is a comma 0. And what is the breadth here? It is 0 comma b is the point. Means what? What is the breadth here? From here to here, what is the distance? It is b units. And here, what is length here? It is the a units. Is it clear, children? So now what is the area of rectangle, children? What is the formula of area of rectangle? Area of rectangle is nothing but area of rectangle. What is area of rectangle? Is equal to length into breadth. Yes or not? So what is length? It is a. And what is breadth? It is b. So AB square units. AB square units is the area of rectangle. Is it clear? So now here, see, I'll ask you a question. Here, children, here till now you have seen two pictures. In that two curves you have seen. In the first curve we have seen the square, and second curve we have seen a rectangle. Yes or not? So because they are very known shapes, and you know how to find out, and you have a formula for that to find the area of a square and area of rectangle. Suppose you have another picture, another curve which is in the shape of a triangle. It can be, yes or not? So like this, if you have any kind of curve which has a formula to find area, which has a formula to find out area, then it is easy for us, yes or not? But suppose if you have a curve in such a way that where it is not having a proper shape, means not a proper shape, means what, how can, because if it is not having a proper shape, then how can you find out, the area, yes or not? So let us see what you are going to see now. So let us see a picture what is coming on your screen, children. It's a coordinate axis. See, I am drawing a free hand curve here, children. So this is a free hand curve drawn by me. Okay. So what is this? It is a curve. So do you find any proper shape here? Do you find any proper shape? No. Yes or not? So now here, then how can you, if I ask you to find out the area occupied or area covered by this curve, clear, above the x-axis. Suppose you are above the x-axis, if I am asking you to find out the area covered by this curve. So can you find out just by seeing the picture or by seeing the curve itself, can you tell what is it? It is not possible. Yes or not? For me, it is not possible. I don't know whether you can do it or not. Can anybody tell? Is it possible to anyone? No, no? Yes. So it is not possible. Yes, it is not possible by just seeing the curve itself. So then what you should do here to find out the area? It should have some method. It should have some method to find out. We cannot just leave the curve like that, no? So what you should do here? So we are trying to do. So actually what is this curve, children? Always any curve is represented by what? It is represented by y is equal to f of x. So in first year you learned, yes or not, in the functions chapter you learned, and in the differentiation also you had many kind of functions. So always any curve is given by f of x. That f of x is represented by what? Y. So if this y is equal to f of x is a curve, and what is the area occupied by this curve? So then what you should do now here, let us see. So here what I am trying to do is, see, I am trying to divide. I am trying to just take a, suppose here, this is the whole curve what I have. So some part of the curve only I am taking, children. It can be continuously, it can be drawn. Okay, it can be continuously, means it can be continuously, it can be taken like this, so on, so on, so on. Okay. So some part only I'm showing you here to understand it clearly. So now here in along this curve, I'm taking a point here, and I am taking another point here, another line here, which is taken as B. Suppose here means along this entire curve, some part of the curve I am taking. That is at point A, and from point A to point B I am considering. Okay, it is only for your understanding, children. We are trying to find out the whole area, but this part to make it more clear, I am taking some part of the curve. That is from A to B I am taking. So this is from the interval A to B. So now here means what I am going to do here, I am trying to find out the area occupied by this curve within this interval. The same method to be followed for the entire curve. Clear? So now here within this curve, what I am going to do to find out the area occupied by this curve within this interval A to B. See here what we are going to do. Suppose here this is the area, this is the shaded part. This shaded part is what? The area which you are going to find out. Okay. Now let us see what to do. So to find the area, what I am doing is we are trying to divide. We are trying to divide this part. The shaded part you have seen no just now. So this shaded part, the part which is in between A and B, is divided into some parts. Okay, let it be some equal parts, or it need not be equal also. It is not much that equal should be there. So now here, suppose here some parts I am taking. It is divided into some parts. Clear? See, so these are the parts which I'm going, I have divided. Is it clear, children? So now here, this is your x, yes or not? Now here I'm dividing this into 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. Now here still few more are there. For suppose here I'm in between, I'm putting dots, means few more divisions are there. Clear? To understand it, that few more divisions are there. Now here, now what is this one here? I have just divided this into some parts. Now, but how can you find out the area? Our question is to find out the area, no, by just simply drawing the lines, area is not done. Area cannot be found. So then what to do? I am trying to draw the rectangles here, children. I am trying to draw the rectangles using these lines. See here, if I join this part and here, if I join here, it becomes a rectangle. Is it clear? And here also, if I join here, it becomes a rectangle. And here also, if I join this two, it becomes a rectangle. And here also it becomes a rectangle. So here almost it is entire, the line is touching the curve, it becomes a rectangle. Clear? So like that, so on. In between also we have many this one rectangles are there. Just try to understand it, children. So now here this part is a rectangle, yes or not? So what is the rectangle area here? Rectangle area is what? Length into breadth. Is it clear? So now what is this one? This length is what here? This one is what? Because we have divided into some parts. This is part of this x here. So let us take here. Let us take it as a dx1. Means first part. This length is how much I am taking. It is considering as dx1. See children, it can be taken as delta x1 also. It can be taken as means small value of x, small part of x. Clear? And here it is what? dx2. It is dx3. It is dx4, and so on. It goes on continuing until dxn. See that the whole division is done within the interval a and b only. So now here, and what is this one here? If you observe this children, what is this point here? It is nothing but your y, no? Y value or not? See, this point is representing what? This height is representing your y. So always for every rectangle, this value is equal to y only, depending on the y value. Is it clear, children? So now here, what is the area of this one? First one, this area I am taking as A1. A1, and this area with second rectangle area is taken as A2, and so on until the n rectangles I'm considering it as AN. Okay, areas, they are considered representing what? Areas. Now here, what are the areas here, children? How can you find out? Area of rectangle is what? Length into breadth. So what is the first area? A1 is equal to length into breadth, which is y into dx1. What is y by, sorry, what is our y, children? Nothing but our f of x1. It is nothing, I am writing it as f of x1 into dx1. Similarly, a2 is what, children? A2 is what? F of x2 into dx2, so on. Yes, so we continue the same thing here. So if we continue like this, and until an I'm finding, it becomes f of xn into dxn. Okay, now here, if I want to have the area of this entire part, what you do here, children? If you add all the areas, we can get the area of this whole thing between a and b, yes or not? So what we do here, children, let me take the another screen to explain it, children. Okay, so now this was our rough diagram I'm drawing here, children. So this was my curve, and this is my A, and this is our interval B, and these are our rectangles what you have taken. Okay, and this is your curve y is equal to f of x. Now just now you have seen what are the areas we have seen. So if I want to get the area, the whole area I'm taking as A. So this whole area, how do we get, children? Adding up all the values. So which is nothing but when you are adding up all the values, we take it as what? It is nothing but sigma. That is nothing but summation. The symbol you remember, no? Sigma or summation. I is equal to 1 to n. From n number of rectangles you have. So which is taken as f of xi into dxi. Means what here? F of xi into dxi. Means f of x1 into dx1, this is the first area, plus f of x2 into dx2 second area, and so on. So now here, see, if you see this one here, as you have noted in the the pictures, children, when I am taking the rectangles like this, few part is left over here, yes or not? Few part is left over. So then what about the, see, if these rectangles area I am getting from this one, by just by adding up all the areas I'm getting here. But what about this part, whichever is the part which is left over? So how can you find out the area of this one? So for that one, what you are going to do is to get more and more approximate value, or more and more accurate value. So what you are going to do? I am further dividing this, because here if you observe the diagram, the triangles are little the rectangles are little wider, yes or not? So to get the more accurate value, what you try to do? I try to divide this into still more number of rectangles, whose width is less, whose width is small. Okay, so can you find the difference of the diagram, children? So what happens here? If you are dividing them into more number of rectangles, that means what here? N number of rectangles. The n value I'm increasing. N value I'm increasing here. So if you are increasing n, that is if you are increasing the number of rectangles, then what happens? Which is reducing here? X, the dx value is getting reduced. Earlier dx is from here to here. Okay, now here in this one only I have got few more rectangles. That means what? The x value is getting, the dx value is getting reduced. Yes or not? So that means what? Here the rectangle, see, if you are reducing this one, what happens? This comes to very close, almost it touches the almost, that means as the rectangles, the n value is more, the x value is going on reducing, and it becomes infinitesimally small. Infinitesimally small means which is almost ignored. That small means most accurate value you can expect. So when you are saying that n value is increasing, till where it can increase? It can increase till infinite number of rectangles you may expect. Yes or not? So if when you are expecting, when you are increasing the n value, that when you are increasing the rectangles number, that means what? In rectangles are represented by what? N number of rectangles we are saying. As n tends to infinity, as n approaches infinity, means infinite number of rectangles, for suppose, okay, as n approaches infinity, then what is the sigma? Sigma I is equal to 1 to n f of xi into dxi. It is nothing but what? It is the area, sum of the areas of what? Sum of the areas of all the rectangles, sum of the area of all the rectangles, where n is what? N is approaching to what? N approaches to infinity. So that means what? By seeing this n tends to infinity, where do you reach, children? Do you remember? Did you get in your mind? Yes, you are right. It is nothing but our limit. In first year, you learned about limits, no? So when n tends to infinity, you reach to a point where you get the limit of that expression. So what is it, children? It is nothing but limit n tends to infinity. The summation I is equal to 1 to n f of xi into dxi. It will give you what? The area of this whole region from A to B. Sum of all the rectangle areas of all the rectangles as n tends to infinity, and the dxi, that is the this one rectangle's length width, is getting reduced. Till where it is reduced, children? It is nothing but almost equal to infinitely very small. So if a dxi is very small, then what happens? Our n value becomes very large. So how much large we can say? It is almost reaching infinity. So as as the n tends to infinity, we reach to a limit. Okay, so this we represent. This is a basic idea. This is a basic idea behind our integration. So we are adding up all these areas to get the more accurate, and then very close to the exact area. See, means only a minute difference may be there which can be neglected. Okay, so almost very close to very close value we reach there. So that is the basic idea of integration here. So this, how do we represent, children? This is represented as integral a to b f of, in general I am writing, children, f of x dx, f of x dx. So what is this a to b I am saying here? Because I am taking some certain interval I am taking, I am writing here a to b. Is it clear, children? So this is the way. See, this symbol is used for integration. So this symbol is also a symbol for summation only. This is one kind of symbol, and this is another kind of symbol. So this symbol we use for integration. Okay, this is a symbol of summation used for integration. Clear, children? And this a to b, we are not because here we are defining certain interval here. From a to b we are saying, so I am taking this as a to b. But when you are talking about the entire curve, this a to b is not taken. Simply we write f of x into dx, f of x dx. So this is the integration, the idea behind the integration, and this is the notation of our integration. How do you find out the area of any given curve? Clear, children? So let us see here. Okay, so this is our previous slide, children. So I hope everyone understood what you have seen till now. So let us see one more picture. So here you may get a doubt because here we are dividing the rectangles. Whether means is it must that they are taken vertically only? So it is not like the children. You can say you can take vertically or horizontally also. Means like this also you can divide. You can divide the curve into parts like this also. Means horizontal also we can take, like this vertical also we can take. So now let us see one important, one very interesting thing which gives you more clear understanding about what we have seen till explained till now, what you have seen till now. Let us see here. Try to understand, children. This is a curve. Okay. So see, earlier it is only one rectangle, three rectangles, and the number of rectangles are increasing. If you observe here, the gap here it is getting reduced. Earlier the gap here, the white color gap you are observing now. So see the picture more clearly, children. So the gap what you are able to see, if you are increasing the rectangles, the gap is reducing. The gap is slowly reducing, and almost it has reached to the place where it is not visible also. So that means what? The area what this curve is covered is what? It is the more accurate value. Means more accurate, which is very close to the exact value. Almost we can say it is the exact value. Clear? Because the if some variation is there also, that can be negligible only. Very minute difference may be there, that can be negligible. Clear? So this is the, I hope why the integration is used. I hope you understood it very clearly, children. So let us see mathematically how do you solve our sums using integration. Okay, and what is the integration? The notation I have explained just now. So what it is and what each term in that, let us see it clearly. So have you seen this, children, clearly? Is it clear to you? Shall I move on to the next slide? Yes. So let us see here. So now here, what is that? As I told in the beginning of the class, integration as an inverse process of differentiation. So what is integration? It is an inverse process of differentiation, we are saying. So what is the inverse process? Let us see how it is inverse process. Let us see here. If the derivative of a function f of x is small f of x. Okay, here two f of x differentiation and the different f's I have used here, children, just to make a note of it. If the derivative of a function f of x is f of x, that is, if d by dx of f of x means if I differentiate this f of x, then what I get? F of x I get. Then we say that f of x is the antiderivative or primitive of f of x. See, if this d by dx of f of x is f of x, then what is this f of x called? This f of x is called as what? A primitive of f of x. See, you learnt about in the functions chapter, learnt about images and pre-images. No, it is like that only. Yes. So the element in the domain set is what? It is called as, the element in the codomain is what? It is called as image of the element in the domain set. Yes or not? Similarly, element in the domain set is called as what? It is called as a pre-image of the element in the codomain set, in the range set. Yes or not? So now here similarly, if this d by dx of f of x is equal to f of x, then this f of x is called as what, children? It is called as antiderivative. It is the derivative of this. It is the antiderivative of this. Okay, but it is a vice versa statement, children. And other name for antiderivative is what? It is nothing but primitive also. We can say it as primitive. Okay. Now here, let us see. How do you write it mathematically? So this is a symbol called as integration symbol, children. Integral f of x dx is equal to what? F of x. We write it as integral f of x dx is equal to f of x. Now here, the process of finding the integral of a function is called integration. So now here, what I am trying to do here, we are trying to find out the integral. Integral is nothing but the limit what obtains. Just now I explained, no, the limit what is obtained there as n tends to infinity, that is called as what, children? That is called as integral. In terms of integration, we call it as integral. That limit is called as integral. So the integral here, the process of finding the integral of a function is called as what? Integration. And the function which is integrated. So here, which function is integrated, children? This f of x is getting integrated, yes or not? So the function which is integrated is called as what? Integrand. Is called as integrand. Means here in this one, this f of x is the function which is getting integrated. So this is called as integrand. Okay. Now here let us see the notations, what everything is there here. So how you call it as an antiderivative? Let us see. Suppose here you know the differentiation, no? This d by dx of x square is equal to what? It is 2x. Implies here this is a function which is differentiated. So this, for this one, this is a derivative. And for this one, what is this? It is the antiderivative. So that means when you are differentiating this function, you are getting a derivative. And when you integrate this function, we get back to our function here. Okay. Now that means integral of 2x dx is equal to x square. Why it is 2x dx, children? Just now we have seen in that example, f of x into dx, I told, no? Yes. So that is integral 2x dx is equal to x square. Let us see one more thing. Here d by dx of x square plus 5 is equal to 2x. Because here, why it is 2x, children? Because the constant, the differentiation of constant is 0. We know that. Yes. So that's why here d by dx of x square plus 5 is 2x. That means when you are integrating this, I should get back this or not. So it implies integration of 2x dx is equal to x square plus 5. Let us see one more. D by dx of x square minus 3 is equal to 2x. Because here constant minus 3 is there, it is 0. So integral of 2x dx is equal to, I should get back this function, x square minus 3 I got. So if you see these three examples, what I have showing here. So here the functions are different. Here x square is there, here x square plus 5 is there, here x square minus 3 is there. So but in all the three cases, we got the same derivative. What is that? It is 2x. That means when you are integrating this derivative, I should get back the same function. But what I am getting here, because whenever the function is same here, the integral should also be same. Yes or not? The answer should be same. When the question is same, the answer should be same. Yes or not? So here, what is the integrand here? It is 2x. But what is the integral? It is x square. And what is the integrand here? 2x. And what is the integral here? X square plus 5. Means what? There is a change. Here x square means what here, children? X square is nothing but x square plus what can I take there? It can be considered as 0. Nothing is there means it is nothing but 0 only. So here it is x square plus 0 I can take, and here it is x square plus 5, and here we are getting x square minus 3. But here being the integrand same, and still I am getting the integral value differently. That means what here, children? Where the difference you are observing, this part is same. X square is same. Where you are getting the difference? This constants you are getting the difference. There is a difference in the constants. Is it clear? So that constant means what? The derivative, when you are integrating the derivative, you are getting back to the function, but there is a difference in the constant. There may be a difference in the constant. So this constant, how do you write here in our mathematically in integration part? How do you write that constant? That constant is taken as c. Okay. So now here, let us see, children, what is indefinite integral. So that is the concept of indefinite integral. Definition here I am explaining to you. Suppose f of x has an antiderivative f of x. Then we say that f of x has an integral for any real constant c. We call f plus c as an indefinite integral of f, denoted by integral f is equal to integral f of x dx. So why I am saying it is indefinite? Because this constant c is not definite. It is not particular. Yes or not? It is changing for every function. For every function, the constant, even though the integrand is same, when it comes to integral, there is a variation in the constant. So that's why I am saying that it is an indefinite integral. It is an indefinite integral. So what is here? It is written by integral f is equal to integral f of x dx is equal to f of x plus c. This c denotes the constant, the change in constant, what you have observed, the difference in constant. That is this particular value term c. Okay. Now let us see here, and we read it as, how do you read this one? It should be read as integral f of x. integral f or integral f of x, both are same, children. Usually we write f of x dx only, but when you are expressing in any statement, then simply we can write f of, integral f also. Okay, so this x represents the variable in the function. X represents the variable in the given function, and this dx represents with what it is getting integrated, by which variable it is getting integrated. Okay, so and we read it as what? Integral f of x. Clear? So let us see the notation in each term, what each term represents. Let us see here, children. This is our statement. Integral f of x dx is equal to f of x plus c. So what each term is representing, let us see one by one. This is called as what? Symbol of integration. It is called as symbol of integration, and it is read as integral. Okay, means we are integrating to get the integral. So integral of this, we read it. Next, f of x is the integrand in the variable x. Next, dx is what? It is called infinitesimally small x, as I have explained in the diagram. Next is what? Capital F of x is what? It is called the integral value, what you get after integrating, what you get. That is the integral value. Okay. And next is what? C is called as what? Constant of integration. Means the difference where you are getting, the constant difference where you are getting, what you are getting, that is called as constant of integration. Is it clear, children? So let us see properties of integral. So when you are trying to solve the sums, we need to have, we are having some certain properties. So first let us know the properties what you have. So what is the first property? Integral f plus g of x, f plus g of x dx is equal to integral f of x dx, integral f of x dx plus integral g of x dx. Means what, children? Suppose here, if you have two functions together, sum means as sum. If you have two functions together as sum of two functions as a single function, then what you do, children, while finding integral, we separate them, we split them as two integrals. See, it is not confined to two functions, children. You can have more number of functions also, f plus g plus h plus so on. So any number of functions you may have here, that many integrals it is split into. Okay. Next, second one. Same thing with minus sign. Integral f minus g of x dx means if you have the difference of functions as a function, then that can be again split into separate integrals with difference as difference. Integral f of x dx minus integral g of x dx plus c. Every time don't forget to put this plus c, children, because these are indefinite integrals. Okay, so the constant difference may be there. So next one, third one is what here, children? K into f of x dx is equal to k into integral f of x dx plus c. So what is it, children? If any function is there here and the function is having a multiple k, where k is any arbitrary constant, I'm saying. So I means some constant k is there, then the k can be sent outside as a coefficient of the integral. Clear? So whatever is the constant, if k is any constant, then that can be sent out as a coefficient of the integral. Clear, children? So these are the three main properties what you have in the integrals integration. Let us see. Next thing, let us see few standard formula what you are going to use in today's class. D by dx of x is equal to 1. D by dx of x is equal to what, children? You know the differentiation. It is nothing but 1. So then integration of 1 should be how much? It is x. Integration of 1, integral 1 into dx is equal to x plus c. So this can be remembered as formula, children. So next, second one is because in most of the sums we use them. So remember them. D by dx of log x is equal to how much, children? 1 by x. So that means integral of 1 by x should be how much? Log x. 1 by x dx is equal to log x plus c. Okay, where x is not equal to 0, because here when it comes to logarithmic functions, the term here x in place of here, usually we means we learned it as log n. Now the n should not be equal to 0, you know that. So here in place of n we have x, so x is not equal to 0, and it's a condition. Okay, next one is, third one is d by dx of e power x is equal to e power x. So similarly, when you are finding integral of that, integral e power x dx is equal to e power x plus c. Clear? So these are the three standard formula what we have. Next, let us see few more. One more is there, children. D by dx of a power x is equal to what? A power x log a base e. Okay. Similarly, when you are integrating this, integral a power x dx is equal to a power x by log a base e plus c. If you observe, children, this log a base e is a constant. Yes or not? So this constant, when it goes to other side, what it becomes? It becomes a denominator. So that's why here integral a power x d, because anyway it is a constant, so I can send it other side so that it becomes it goes to denominator. So integral a power x dx is equal to a power x by log a base e plus c. Okay. So next one is what? The two main formulas. Let us see now. Here the condition is what, children? Here a greater than 0 and a is not equal to 1. Okay. And here it is integral x to the power of n dx is equal to x to the power of n plus 1 by n plus 1 plus c for n not equals to minus 1. Okay. So now here what is the formula? Integral x to the power of n. What is x to the power of n? In differentiation, do you remember this formula, children? Differentiation of x by x power n is what? N into x to the power of n minus 1. Yes or not? So now here integral of x to the power of n is x to the power of n plus 1 by n plus 1. Okay. Plus c for n not equal to minus 1. Why I am saying n not equal to minus 1? Because if n is equal to minus 1, this denominator terms become 0. So it becomes undefined. So that's why to avoid that, always n should be not equal to minus 1. Clear? And here, and the next one is integral k into dx, where k is any constant. If k is any constant, then what is the integral of that? Kx plus c. Why it is kx, children? See, just now I told you the formula. Integral of 1 into dx is x. Yes or not? So, in place of, see, k, 1 is also a constant. Yes. So, if I see here, other than 1 also, you can have any constants. So, suppose here, if I have here 2. For example, I am saying, if I have here 2. Okay. If you have here, if I have here 2 into dx. So I can take here this 2 as, because k should be sent out now. Yes. So it is nothing but 2 is written outside. 2 is written outside into 1 into dx. 1 into dx is nothing but what? X. So it is 2x. 2x plus c. Clear, children? So like this you have to do. Means in place of k, if you have any constant, that can what is the integral of that? It is kx plus c, where k is any arbitrary constant. If k is 1, then directly we get x only. If k is other than 1, then we get that k value also here as a coefficient of x. Clear? So now let us see here. Let us see one sum. Let us try to solve one sum. Evaluate integral x cube minus 2x square plus 3 into dx on R. Okay. So what is this, children? Here if you observe the function here, it is, we have how many terms are there here? 1, 2, 3. 3 terms are there. Okay. So let us see what can we do here. What can we do here, children? Just now we have seen the properties of integrals. Whenever the sum of the functions are there or difference of the functions are there, that can be split into separate integrals. Okay. So now here how many terms are there with us? 3 terms are there. So we can, how many integrals we get? 3 integrals we get. So what is the integral value here? Let us see. X cube minus 2x square plus 3 into dx. Integral x cube minus 2x square plus 3 into dx is equal to 3 integrals we are going to divide. X cube into dx minus plus minus 2x square into dx plus 3 into dx. Okay. So now here, what is this one here? Plus into minus is minus term will come outside. So it is nothing but, so we, if you observe the terms, what is the formula here? It is in the form of x to the power of n. Here also it is in the form of x to the power of n. Here n value is 2, here n value is 3. Well, what about this? It is in the form of k into dx, where k is 3. Okay. So these two formulas we are going to apply here. So what it becomes now, let us see. X to the power of n plus 1, that is 3 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 minus 2 into, this my plus into minus is minus 2 comes outside. Okay, minus 2 comes outside, x to the power of 2 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 plus 3 into x plus c. So what is here? X to the power of, final, what is the answer now? X cube minus 2x square plus 3 into dx is equal to x to the power of 4 by 4 minus 2x cube by 3 plus 3x plus c. Okay, understood children? So like this you have to solve the integration. This is a very simple sum, children. Okay, means only the splitting of the integral value integrands into one or two functions, one or two integrals, where according to the formula, applying the formula, we are trying to find the integrals. Clear? So let us see another sum. Evaluate 1 minus root x by x into dx on 0 comma infinity. So now here see, this 0 comma infinity is given only for the condition of x, children, means where this function is valid. Where this function is valid, for that reason only it is given. So don't bother about this one, just try to concentrate on the function. So what is here? The function is what? 1 minus root x by x. 1 minus root x by x into dx is equal to what, children? I'm splitting the fractions here. 1 by x minus root x by x into dx. So here it is 1 by x means what? We have direct formula. But what about this, children? If you see this one, root x by x. What is root? X can be written as root x into root x. Yes or not? So 1 root x can be cancelled. So what is left here? 1 by root x. 1 by root x means how much? X to the power of half. So when it goes to numerator, it becomes minus half. Yes or not? So integral 1 by x dx minus integral x to the power of minus half into dx. How it is x to the power of minus half, children? Understood? Or let me explain here once. I'll try to explain here this for this term, children. Okay, root x by x. What is root x by x? It is, or else directly we can take x to the power of half. No, it is, and the denominator goes to numerator, it becomes minus 1. So nothing but x to the power of minus half. Clear? So like this we can do. So what is here? So here 1 by x is a direct formula we have. Integral of 1 by x dx is equal to log x, and it is in the form of x to the power of n. So it is log x minus x to the power of n plus 1, that is minus half plus 1 by minus half plus 1 plus c. Okay, always don't forget to put plus c, children. So this term I'm writing again here, children. Now what is this here? Log x minus x to the power of 1 minus half is half. Here also 1 minus half is there, half plus c. So here the 1 by 2 is there in the denominator. So this 2 goes to the numerator. So it becomes what now? Log x minus 2 root x. This is x power half, I'm writing as root x minus 2 root x plus c. So like this we have to find out the integral value. Hope understood, children. Now next one is, let us see few more formulas which are related to trigonometry. Okay, trigonometrical ratios are there here. D by dx of cos x is what? Minus sin x. So then what is the integral of sin x here? This minus goes to other side, it becomes minus cos x plus c. See, children, don't get confused with the differentiation and the integration formulae, because it is a starting, just a starting point. You may get confused, but practice more, because many formulas you have in this. So you have to keep on writing the formulas, keep practicing the formulas, children. Otherwise, because here there is a differentiation and integration are almost, the formulas will be similar now, because at the starting point you may get confused. Clear? So to avoid that, practice more and learn thoroughly the formulas, because the whole integration is totally dependent on formulas, children. If you are not thorough with the formulas, it will be difficult to you. So learn the formulas, practice more, write more. Okay, keep on writing more and more number of times. So next one is what? D by dx of sin x is equal to what? Cos x. So then integral of cos x should be how much? Sin x. So that is the formula what we have here. Integral of cos x dx is equal to sin x plus c. Clear? And the next one, let us see. In d by dx of tan x is what? Secant square x. So integral of secant square x dx is equal to tan x plus c. Okay. Now next one is d by dx of cot x is equal to minus cosecant square x. So implies integral of cosecant square x dx is equal to how much? Minus cot x plus c, because this minus sign goes to other side, it becomes minus cot x plus c. Now next one is d by dx of secant x is equal to secant x into tan x, implies integral of this secant x tan x dx is what? Secant x plus c. Okay. Next one is d by dx of cosecant x is equal to minus cosecant x cot x, implies integral of cosecant x into cot x dx is equal to minus cosecant x plus c. Clear, children? So these are the formulas what we have with the trigonometric ratios. The 6 ratios we have now. So for that derivatives, we are finding the integral values here. Clear, children? So now let us see some here, children. Evaluate integral e to the power of log 1 plus tan square x dx on I subset to r minus 2n plus 1 into pi by 2, n belongs to z. So this is a condition where this function is valid, children. So evaluate e to the power of log 1 plus tan square x dx. So now here, by seeing this one, do you remember a formula, children, which you learned in your lower classes, which that is in 10th class, and you used that in first year also in differentiation. But the formula of logarithm, here it is a base, the logarithmic term is there in the power. Clear? So what is the term, what is the formula we have with that? So let us see, children. Integral e to the power of log, integral e to the power of log 1 plus tan square x, e to the power of log 1 plus tan square x is equal to, into dx is equal to what? E to the power of log 1 plus tan square x is equal to what? 1 plus tan square x into dx. Why this is equal to 1 plus tan square x I got, children? Because the formula is what? A to the power of log n base a is equal to n. We have a formula a to the power of log n base a is equal to n. So now here what is there here? The base is not given for the logarithmic term. Yes or not? But here you have to understand, even though it is not mentioned, you have to take it as base e only. Yes or not? Do you remember in first year also we did that? So till 10th class, whenever the base is not given, you consider it as base 10. That is a common logarithms. Okay, but here in the higher classes, we consider it as a base e, which is a natural logarithm. We call it as a natural logarithms. Clear, children? So here the base is taken as what? E only. So e to the power of log base e 1 plus tan square x. So both the bases are same here. So it is nothing but our n is equal to how much here? 1 plus tan square x. So what is 1 plus tan square x, children? Nothing but our secant square x dx. From where we got this? From the trigonometrical identity. What is the trigonometrical identity? Secant square theta minus tan square theta is equal to 1. So based on this trigonometric identity, this minus tan square theta is sent to other side. It becomes 1 plus tan square theta. So what is there here? Secant square theta. So now what is secant square x integration? Integral value of this is what? Nothing but tan x. We have just now we have seen the formula. Yes or not? Integral of secant square, because derivative of tan x is secant square x. Then integral of secant square x should be how much? Tan x. So now this is your answer, integral. Clear? Now let us see another sum here. Evaluate sin square x by 1 plus cos 2x dx. It is not cos square, children, it is cos 2x. Clear? On this interval. Okay. Now what is the question here? Integral sin square x by 1 plus cos 2x dx. So 1 plus cos 2x, whenever you see this 1 plus cos 2x, to what it should be changed, children? In first year also you did many sums in the trigonometry chapter and in differentiation. So what it is now? It is equal to what? I'm waiting for your answer, children. What is this? Exactly. What is this, children? It is nothing but sin square x by 1 plus cos 2x is equal to is equal to what? 2 cos square x, no? Is equal to integral sine square x by 2 cos square x dx, because cos 2x value is how much? 2 cos square x minus 1. Yes. So now here what you are doing, 1 by here 1 by 2 is a constant which comes outside. Okay, 1 by 2 is a constant which comes outside. What is left here? Sine square x by cos square x is left, which is nothing but tan square x. So but here we don't have a formula for tan square x. Yes, we have a formula, integral formula for secant square x is there, but we don't have for tan square x. So then what you should do here, the tan square x should be changed to secant square x. It should be represented in terms of secant square x. How do you do that? Let us see. 1 by 2 into secant square x minus 1 into dx. Integral of secant square x minus 1 into dx. Okay, so now here children, let me remind you again about differentiation. In differentiation, suppose if the same function is there to you, what you did there, x to the power of n formula we applied, and then internal function tan x also we differentiated, yes or not? But in the integration it is not so. Here it should have, it cannot be taken as x to the power of n, children. Okay, so here tan square x is what? It is taken as secant square x minus 1. Okay, now here what is this? Again here two terms are there here. Let us split them into two integrals. That is half into integral secant square x dx. Secant square x dx minus integral 1 into dx. Okay, so this one secant square x minus 1, how did you get, children? Using the again same trigonometric identity. Clear? This minus tan square theta goes other side and 1 comes here. So what is the integral of secant square? It is nothing but tan x. Okay, so and here 1 also we have an integral value, and secant square x also we have an integral value. So now here we got the final answer, final integral of our given function. Integral sine square x by 1 plus cos 2x dx is equal to half into tan x minus x plus c. So always remember, children, once again I am reminding you, whenever you are solving indefinite integrals, you should never forget putting this c. Clear? You should never forget putting this c at the end of the c. It is not must that how many integrals are there, that many c you should put. Even you put also c for the first integral plus c, for the second integral plus c. Suppose here, then that means what? This is a constant. Here also we are getting a constant. Here also we are getting a constant. When two constants are added, what we get? Again we get a constant only, no? So that's why no need to put so many constants in the last step of integration. Okay, in the last step of integration, if you put one constant, that is enough. So it is not must that in every step of integration you are putting a constant. Clear, children? So wherever the integration process is completed, there it is must to put a constant there. Clear? So this is a some, hope you understood the properties and what is integration actually, what integration means, and what are the properties of integration, how integration is called as an antiderivative. Clear, children? And a few more standard formula we have seen, and a few sums we have seen based on the standard formula. Hope you understood and enjoyed the session, children. Enjoyed the class. Let us see what we have seen in the today's class. Clear? So what we have seen, children? Integration is the inverse process of differentiation. Integration is the inverse process of differentiation. What is this? That is, if the derivative of a function f of x, the derivative of a function f of x is f of x, then if d by dx of f of x is equal to f of x, then we say that f of x is the antiderivative of f of x, or primitive also we can call it. Okay, so this is the and this is called as antiderivative. That's why it is called as what? Inverse process of differentiation we call. Okay, and next thing what you learned today here, what have we learned today, children? If f of x has an antiderivative f of x, then we say that f of x has an integral value for any real constant c. Then f plus c is an indefinite integral of f. This f plus c is called as what? Indefinite integral. Why it is indefinite integral? I told you already. Yes, because there is a change in this, there is a variation in the constant, there may be a variation in the constant. So we are not definite that it is a value, it is a only exact function we can say. There is a difference in the function by constant. So that's why we say that it is indefinite integral, and it is denoted by what? Integral f of x dx is equal to f of x plus c. Dear children, and next what have we learned today? What else we have learned? One is f of x, f plus g of x dx is equal to integral f of x dx plus integral g of x dx. That is splitting up the given function into two or more number of functions. What it is there? How many are there here? That many functions it is divided. Next is what? Second one, f minus g, integral f minus gx dx is equal to integral f of x dx minus integral g of x dx. Okay, here it is a sum and this is a property with difference. And third one is what, children? Here k into f of x dx, integral k into f of x dx is equal to what? Is equal to k into integral f of x. Whatever is the constant here k, that is sent out as the coefficient of this integral. Clear, children? Where k is an arbitrary constant. So these are the things what you have learned in today's class. Hope everyone enjoyed the session, children. So practice more. I'm giving you a few practice sums, children, today. What are the sums? Evaluate under root of 1 minus cos 2x dx on this interval. And this evaluate
ఒక్క నిమిషం బట్ ఇకనే మాట్లాడాల్సి ఉంటది.
into cosecant square x dx on the interval I subset to r minus n pi, n belongs to z, union 2n plus 1 into pi by 2, n belongs to z. Okay, these are the two sums I'm giving you, children, under root of 1 minus cos 2x. 1 minus same similar to the sum what we did, 1 plus cos 2x we did. No, it should be done similarly. 1 minus cos 2x is there here, change it accordingly. And here secant square x into cosecant square x is there. What is secant square? 1 by cos square. What is cosecant square? 1 by sin square. So sine square into cosecant square is what? What is the formula comes to your mind? Sin 2x formula comes to your mind or not? Yes. So change it to sine form, sine 2 theta form, and try to do it. Clear, children? So now here these are the two sums given for you. Hope enjoy the children, class, children. So thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shailja ma'am. Thank you, Deepa ma'am. Thank you, children. Good day.
Thank you, Purnima madam, for your transparent session. I hope all the children have understood, because Purnima has explained very clearly about the difference between differentiation and integration. And this is a very good resource for you children. You can go through the sessions again and again. Whenever you get the doubts, you go through the sessions and write down the notes. Your teacher will be always for you available. You can ask the doubts and clarify your doubts. Thank you.